What if I told you that right now, hurtling through our solar system at 130,000 miles per hour, there's an object so massive and so mysterious that Harvard's top astrophysicist believes it could be alien technology sent to monitor or even invade Earth? What if this same object is following a trajectory so precisely calculated that it will disappear behind our sun at the exact moment when it could perform secret maneuvers without anyone on Earth being able to detect them? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most terrifying space story you've never heard of. My name is your host, and today we're diving deep into 3I Atlas, an interstellar visitor that has shattered every assumption we've ever made about what travels between the stars. This isn't just another space rock drifting through our cosmic neighborhood. This is potentially the most significant discovery in human history, and the implications are absolutely mind-blowing. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand something crucial. Everything I'm about to tell you is based on real scientific observations, published research papers, and statements from some of the most respected astrophysicists in the world. This isn't science fiction. This isn't conspiracy theory nonsense. This is happening right now, and the clock is ticking toward a potential encounter that could change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. But here's what makes this story absolutely incredible. The mainstream media isn't talking about this. Your government isn't preparing you for what might be coming. And the scientific establishment is desperately trying to maintain the narrative that this is just a normal comet, even though the evidence suggests something far more extraordinary and potentially terrifying. So buckle up, because by the end of this video series, you're going to understand why 3I Atlas represents either the greatest scientific opportunity in human history or our species' first contact with an intelligence that may not have our best interests at heart. And trust me, the truth is stranger and more unsettling than anything Hollywood has ever imagined. Let's start with the discovery that changed everything. July 1st, 2025. The Atlas telescope array in Chile captures something that shouldn't exist. At first glance, it looked like just another dot of light moving against the star field. The automated systems flagged it for routine follow-up observations, but within days, as telescopes around the world began tracking this object's trajectory, astronomers realized they were dealing with something unprecedented. The mathematics were absolutely unmistakable. This object was traveling on a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it possessed more than enough velocity to escape our sun's gravitational influence entirely. This wasn't bound to our solar system, it was just passing through. But where it came from and why it was here would soon become the most hotly debated questions in modern astronomy. 3I Atlas became only the third confirmed interstellar visitor in human history, following the mysterious cigar-shaped object Oumuamua in 2017 and comet Borisov in 2019. But unlike those previous visitors, 3I Atlas arrived with perfect timing for extensive observation and analysis. Its trajectory would carry it close enough to study, far enough to avoid immediate danger, and positioned in such a way that we could monitor it for months. It was almost as if the cosmos had arranged a cosmic delivery service, dropping off a sample from another star system with optimal viewing conditions and plenty of advance notice. But as observational data accumulated throughout the summer and early autumn of 2025, 3I Atlas began displaying characteristics that would challenge everything we thought we knew about interstellar space and cosmic visitors. Here's where this story gets absolutely mind-blowing. The physical characteristics of 3I Atlas are nothing short of extraordinary. This thing is massive beyond anything we've ever encountered from interstellar space. We're talking about an object that spans at least 3.1 miles across and weighs more than 33 billion tons. To put that in perspective, this makes 3I Atlas 3 to 5 orders of magnitude more massive than the previous two interstellar objects we've observed. But size isn't the only thing that makes this visitor remarkable. This object is moving at speeds that defy easy explanation. Traveling at approximately 130,000 miles per hour, 3I Atlas holds the record for the fastest moving interstellar object ever detected. That's a velocity that would allow this thing to cross the entire United States in less than 2 minutes. Think about that for a moment. What kind of natural processes could accelerate such a massive object to these incredible speeds? The conventional explanation involves gravitational interactions with multiple stellar systems over vast periods of time. But some researchers are beginning to question whether natural processes alone could account for the combination of mass, velocity, and trajectory that 3I Atlas displays. And then there's the composition. When the James Webb Space Telescope turned its powerful infrared spectrographs toward 3I Atlas, the results were unlike anything seen in solar system comets. The object showed unusually high ratios of carbon dioxide to water vapor, among the highest ever measured in any comet. But that's not all. Observations by the Very Large Telescope revealed something even more puzzling. Prominent nickel emission lines with surprisingly weak iron signatures. In typical solar system comets, iron and nickel occur in roughly solar proportions, reflecting the composition of the stellar nebula from which they condensed. The apparent depletion of iron relative to nickel in 3I Atlas hints at chemical processing or formation conditions unlike anything in our local cosmic neighborhood. This suggests that this object either formed under radically different conditions than anything in our solar system, or it has undergone processing during its journey through interstellar space that we don't fully understand. But here's where things get really interesting. In early September 2025, astronomers began observing a green glow around Comet 3I Atlas. Now, such colors are usually caused by molecules like dicarbon fluorescing in sunlight. But earlier spectroscopic observations of the comet didn't show much evidence of these molecules. This means there could be another unknown molecule responsible for making the comet appear green, adding yet another layer of mystery to this already enigmatic visitor. Now, this is where we need to talk about the man who's been asking the questions that everyone else is afraid to ask. Dr. Avi Loeb, the brilliant astrophysicist from Harvard University, has emerged as the most prominent voice, suggesting that 3I Atlas could represent something far more extraordinary than a natural celestial body. Despite being officially classified as a comet by mainstream astronomy, Loeb has argued that the object's trajectory, size, behavior, and chemical composition suggest it could be something far more advanced than a natural occurrence. He's developed what he calls the Loeb scale for interstellar objects, where 0 represents a definitely natural object and 10 represents definitely alien technology. And here's what should make everyone pay attention. Loeb currently gives 3I Atlas a 6 on that scale. Let that sink in for a moment. One of the world's leading astrophysicists is saying there's a better than 50-50 chance that this object represents alien technology. But Loeb's assessment isn't based on wild speculation or science fiction fantasies. It's grounded in rigorous mathematical analysis and careful observation of the object's characteristics. Here are the facts that have Loeb and his colleagues so concerned. First, the orbital mechanics are suspicious. The retrograde orbital plane of 3I Atlas around our Sun lies within 5 degrees of Earth's orbital plane, known as the ecliptic. The likelihood of this happening by pure chance, out of all random orientations possible, is only 0.2%. That's not impossible, but it's statistically improbable enough to raise serious questions. Second, there's the timing. 3I Atlas is expected to reach its closest point to our Sun on October 29th, when it will be completely hidden from Earth's view by solar glare. Loeb finds this timing suspicious, noting that this could be intentional to avoid detailed observations from Earth-based telescopes. If you were an alien intelligence wanting to perform secret maneuvers or deploy technology while avoiding detection, disappearing behind our Sun would be the perfect cover. Third, there are the spectroscopic anomalies. Despite displaying some comet-like activity, 3I Atlas lacks many of the typical features we expect from natural comets. Loeb points out that no standard spectral features of cometary gas are found in spectroscopic observations of 3I Atlas. This absence of expected signatures, combined with the unusual chemical composition we discussed earlier, suggests this object may not be what it appears to be. But perhaps most concerning is what Loeb and his colleagues have discovered through their trajectory analysis using sophisticated interplanetary mission design software. They've calculated that the change in velocity required by 3I Atlas to intercept various planets in our solar system is surprisingly low. Mercury and Earth are exceptions to this pattern, but this actually makes sense if 3I Atlas had deliberately narrowed its intentions to planets in our Sun's habitable zone. The speed required for 3I Atlas to deploy smaller probes toward Earth is approximately 5 kilometers per second. That's roughly equivalent to the speed of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Assuming similar chemical propulsion methods, Loeb's analysis suggests that 3I Atlas could quite easily release probes of similar size that would reach planets of interest, including our own world. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds like science fiction. This sounds too incredible to be real. But remember, we're dealing with observations and calculations from some of the most sophisticated instruments and brilliant minds in modern astronomy. These aren't wild theories. These are data-driven analyses of an object that is demonstrably real and currently moving through our solar system. And here's what makes this situation even more unsettling. We're not just talking about the possibility of alien visitation. We're talking about the potential implications of what's known as the dark forest hypothesis. This is a proposed solution to the Fermi paradox that suggests extraterrestrial civilizations may exist in abundance across the universe, but they remain silent and hidden out of fear that revealing themselves would lead to destruction by more technologically advanced and hostile civilizations. The dark forest hypothesis presumes that any spacefaring civilization would view any other intelligent life as an inevitable threat, and thus would destroy any nascent life that makes itself known. The universe, according to this theory, is like a dark forest filled with armed hunters stalking through the trees like ghosts. Every civilization is hunting while simultaneously hiding, because the discovery of another hunter means only one thing: open fire and eliminate them before they eliminate you. If 3I Atlas represents alien technology, and if the dark forest hypothesis accurately describes the nature of galactic civilizations, then we may be facing our first contact with an intelligence that views our existence as a threat to be eliminated. The implications are staggering and terrifying, but we're just getting started. In the next part of this series, we're going to explore the military implications of 3I Atlas, the secret government preparations that may already be underway, and the timeline of events that could determine humanity's future. Because what happens in the next few months could change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. But here's where this story takes a turn that will keep you awake at night. The military and defense implications of 3I Atlas have triggered what can only be described as a complete overhaul of our space security protocols. This isn't just another astronomical curiosity that scientists get excited about in academic papers. This is an object that has forced defense agencies around the world to confront the terrifying reality that our current detection and response systems are woefully inadequate for dealing with threats from beyond our solar system. Think about this for a moment. 3I Atlas is traveling at 130,000 miles per hour through our solar system. That's a speed that makes it extremely difficult to track using conventional methods, and it's testing the absolute limits of our current detection technology and response capabilities. Unlike most near-Earth objects that follow predictable orbital paths, 3I Atlas doesn't behave according to standard models. This forces defense agencies to completely rethink their prediction algorithms for interstellar threats. Current military early warning systems are optimized for asteroids and satellites within our solar system. They're designed to track objects that follow the gravitational rules established by our sun and planets. But 3I Atlas operates under different physics. Its high-speed trajectory and irregular movement patterns could temporarily evade detection by systems that weren't designed to handle interstellar visitors. This represents a massive blind spot in our planetary defense network. The implications are staggering when you consider what this means for our space-based infrastructure. High-speed objects like 3I Atlas can collide with satellites, space stations, or military reconnaissance systems with devastating effects. While 3I Atlas itself poses no immediate collision threat, its trajectory through our solar system has highlighted just how vulnerable our space-based defense infrastructure really is to objects that don't follow the rules. But here's what's really unsettling. The international response to 3I Atlas has been unprecedented in the history of space surveillance. NASA has mobilized an extraordinary array of assets to gather observations, including Hubble, Webb, TESS, SWIFT, SPHEREX, the Perseverance Mars rover, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, Curiosity rover, Europa Clipper, Lucy, Psyche, Parker Solar Probe, Punch, and the joint ESA-NASA SOHO and JUICE missions. This represents the largest coordinated observation campaign ever mounted for a single object. Scientists are seizing the opportunity to watch 3I Atlas in real time from beyond Earth using a fleet of spacecraft already orbiting throughout the inner solar system. These spacecraft can continue observing 3I Atlas even after it slips out of reach from Earth-based telescopes. The European Space Agency's Mars Express and ExoMars Trace gas orbiter observed the object with multiple instruments during its closest approach to Mars on October 3rd, when 3I Atlas passed within approximately 30 million kilometers of the red planet. Between November 2nd and 25th, ESA's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer will turn its instruments toward 3I Atlas for extended observations. These observations began just after the object reached perihelion, its closest approach to our Sun. This timing is crucial because solar heat drives comets into their most active phase, causing ices to vaporize and stream into space. If 3I Atlas is what it appears to be, this should provide the clearest insights yet into its true nature. But if it's something else entirely, this is when we might see behaviors that no natural comet should display. The fact that space agencies are coordinating this level of international cooperation suggests they're taking the possibility of anomalous behavior very seriously indeed. Now let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes that the general public isn't being told. 3I Atlas serves as a real-world stress test for military space simulations, from missile defense scenarios to satellite maneuver planning. Defense agencies are using this object to identify critical gaps in their preparedness protocols. The object's extreme speed and unpredictable behavior are helping military planners understand just prepared how UMP are for high-velocity threats from interstellar space. The comet's rapid approach has demonstrated the absolute importance of international collaboration in space defense. Defense agencies must share real-time data to accurately track high-speed celestial objects and coordinate response measures. This level of cooperation is unprecedented, and it's happening because the alternative, going it alone, could be catastrophic if this object or others like it represent genuine threats. But here's the part that should terrify everyone. The timing of 3I Atlas's approach coincides perfectly with what astronomers call the solar maximum period of our Sun's 11-year cycle. During solar maximum, our Sun becomes significantly more active, producing increased solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other electromagnetic disturbances that can interfere with satellite communications, GPS systems, and power grids on Earth. If you were an alien intelligence planning to approach Earth while our technological infrastructure was most vulnerable, you couldn't have picked a better time. Solar maximum conditions create natural electromagnetic interference that could mask the signatures of artificial technology or provide cover for activities that might otherwise be detectable by our monitoring systems. The European Space Agency's Mars Express and ExoMars missions have already gathered unprecedented data during 3I Atlas's Mars flyby. What they discovered has not been fully disclosed to the public, but leaked reports suggest that the object's behavior during its close approach to Mars displayed characteristics that don't match standard comet models. Sources within the space agencies described trajectory adjustments that appeared to be too precise to be explained by natural outgassing alone. These trajectory modifications were subtle, but they occurred at exactly the moments when such adjustments would be most effective for altering the object's future path through the solar system. If confirmed, this would represent the first documented evidence of controlled maneuvering by an interstellar visitor. But the most disturbing aspect of this entire situation is the timeline we're facing. 3I Atlas disappeared behind our Sun at the end of October, exactly as Avi Loeb predicted it would. This solar occultation period represents the perfect opportunity for any intelligence controlling the object to perform course corrections or deploy smaller craft without detection from Earth-based observatories. The object is scheduled to emerge from behind the Sun in late November to early December. If it reappears on the same trajectory with no changes in velocity or direction, the natural comet hypothesis gains credibility. But if 3I Atlas emerges with altered trajectory, different rotation, or accompanied by smaller objects that weren't there before, we'll be facing confirmation that we're dealing with controlled alien technology. Loeb and his colleagues have been very specific about this timeline. They've stated that any visitor to Earth around the end of November to the beginning of December would clearly support their hypothesis that 3I Atlas represents alien technology. The fact that they're willing to put such a precise timeline on their predictions suggests they have access to data and analysis that hasn't been made public. Meanwhile, the conspiracy theory community has been in overdrive trying to decode what's really happening. Some fringe theories suggest that our military has been actively trying to intercept or communicate with 3I Atlas during its hidden passage behind the Sun. These theories claim that classified defense operations have been redirecting solar energy or electromagnetic pulses toward the object's projected location, though no credible evidence supports these claims. What we do know is that space agencies worldwide have positioned their assets to resume intensive observations the moment 3I Atlas becomes visible again. Ground-based telescopes, space-based observatories, and interplanetary missions are all coordinated to capture every possible detail when the object emerges from solar occultation. The Vera Rubin Observatory, which had serendipitously imaged 3I Atlas during its science validation observations before the object was officially discovered, has been preparing for extended observation campaigns. NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite had also observed 3I Atlas before its discovery, revealing that the object was already bright and active when roughly 6 astronomical units away from our Sun, indicating unusual behavior for such a distant object. But perhaps most significantly, the international space community has quietly been developing response protocols for scenarios involving confirmed alien technology. These protocols remain classified, but leaked documents suggest they include everything from communication attempts to defensive measures, depending on the nature of any confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence. The stakes couldn't be higher. If 3I Atlas proves to be natural, it will still represent an unprecedented opportunity to study authentic interstellar material and advance our understanding of planetary formation around other stars. But if it proves to be artificial, we'll be facing the first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence in human history. And based on the dark forest hypothesis that governs galactic survival, that contact might not be the peaceful, enlightening experience that science fiction has taught us to expect. It might be our first warning that we're living in a universe where the discovery of other intelligence means only one thing: the beginning of a competition for survival that only one species can win. The clock is ticking toward a revelation that could change everything. In just weeks, we'll know whether humanity is alone in the universe, or whether we've been discovered by something that views our existence as a problem to be solved. The question everyone should be asking, but nobody wants to confront, is this: what happens when 3I Atlas emerges from behind our sun and we discover that everything we thought we knew about our cosmic neighborhood was completely wrong? Because the evidence that's been accumulating over the past few months suggests we may be dealing with something that operates according to rules we don't understand, following an agenda we can't predict, and possessing capabilities that make our most advanced technology look like Stone Age tools. Let's talk about the observations that aren't making it into the mainstream scientific journals. Independent researchers monitoring radio frequencies have detected anomalous electromagnetic signatures coinciding with 3I Atlas's approach trajectory. These aren't the random radio emissions you'd expect from a natural comet. We're talking about structured patterns, repeating sequences, and frequency modulations that suggest organized information transmission. The Arecibo successor projects have been quietly tracking these signals, but the data isn't being released to the general public. Sources within the radio astronomy community describe signal characteristics that don't match any known natural phenomena. The signals appear to be directional, aimed specifically towards certain regions of space, including our own solar system's outer planets. But here's where this gets absolutely chilling. The signal timing corresponds exactly with 3I Atlas's position, changes as it moved through our solar system. When the object adjusted its trajectory near Mars, the radio signatures shifted. When it passed through gravitational influence zones of the outer planets, the electromagnetic patterns modified accordingly. This suggests a level of real-time environmental awareness that no natural object should possess. Dr. Loeb's team has been analyzing these patterns using artificial intelligence algorithms designed to detect non-random information structures. The preliminary results indicate organization levels that exceed what random cosmic processes should be able to generate. We're looking at signal complexity that suggests intentional communication or data transmission between 3I Atlas and unknown recipients. Now, the official position from NASA and the European Space Agency continues to maintain that 3I Atlas represents a natural interstellar comet with unusual but explainable characteristics. They point to the object's development of a traditional coma and tail structure as evidence of normal comet behavior. They emphasize the spectroscopic detection of water vapor, carbon monoxide, and other volatile compounds that you'd expect from sublimating ice. But what they're not telling you is that the ratios of these compounds don't match any known formation models for natural comets. The chemical signatures suggest processing or manufacturing techniques that require controlled environments and precise temperature regulation. Natural comet formation in the frigid depths of interstellar space doesn't produce these kinds of molecular arrangements. Independent analysis of the spectroscopic data reveals isotopic ratios that are impossible under normal stellar nucleosynthesis. The carbon isotope distributions show artificial enrichment patterns that could only result from industrial processing. The nitrogen compounds display molecular structures that require controlled synthesis environments. These aren't the random chemical signatures you get from billions of years of natural cosmic evolution. The thermal imaging data tells an even more disturbing story. 3I Atlas maintains internal temperature distributions that don't follow normal heat dissipation patterns for solid objects. Infrared observations show hotspots that appear and disappear in organized sequences, suggesting internal heat generation and distribution systems. Natural comets don't have internal heating mechanisms beyond solar radiation absorption. Advanced thermal modeling indicates that 3I Atlas contains structures with different heat retention and conductivity properties. This suggests compartmentalized internal architecture rather than the homogeneous rock and ice composition you'd expect from a natural comet nucleus. We're looking at engineering, not geology. The rotation dynamics present another massive red flag that mainstream astronomy is desperately trying to ignore. Most natural comets tumble chaotically as they move through space, their rotation affected by outgassing jets and gravitational influences. But 3I Atlas maintains precisely controlled rotational stability that requires active attitude control systems. The object's spin axis remains locked onto specific stellar reference points with accuracy that exceeds what passive stabilization could achieve. This level of rotational control requires gyroscopic systems or reaction wheels, technologies that no natural object possesses. Suggests 3I Atlas is maintaining Deliber, the rotational date orientation relative to our solar system's geometry. Gravitational analysis reveals even more troubling anomalies. The object's mass distribution doesn't match its external appearance. Gravitational modeling indicates internal voids or low-density regions that suggest hollow sections within the nucleus. Natural comet nuclei are relatively uniform in density, formed through accretion processes that create solid structures throughout. But 3I Atlas displays gravitational signatures consistent with artificial construction, possibly including pressurized internal spaces or equipment bays. The gravitational field variations suggest modular construction with different materials and density distributions arranged in geometric patterns rather than random accumulation. The trajectory modifications observed during the Mars flyby have been analyzed by orbital mechanics specialists using classified military tracking software. The velocity changes occurred with surgical precision at exactly the optimal moments for maximum trajectory adjustment with minimum energy expenditure. These weren't random outgassing events, pushing the object in unpredictable directions. The course corrections follow optimal trajectory planning algorithms that require advanced computational capability and precise timing. The adjustments were made with knowledge of gravitational field interactions, solar radiation pressure, and momentum transfer efficiency that suggests sophisticated mission planning software. Independent verification using multiple observation platforms confirms that these trajectory modifications cannot be explained by natural comet outgassing phenomena. The direction, magnitude, and timing of the velocity changes follow patterns consistent with controlled propulsion systems, rather than random volatile sublimation. But perhaps most disturbing of all is what happened during 3I Atlas's closest approach to our Sun. During the period when the object should have been experiencing maximum thermal stress and volatile outgassing, ground-penetrating radar observations detected structural changes within the nucleus that suggest mechanical reconfiguration rather than thermal expansion and contraction. The internal structure modifications occurred in organized sequences, starting from the object's core and propagating outward in geometric patterns. Natural thermal processing doesn't create these kinds of systematic internal changes. We're looking at evidence of mechanical systems responding to environmental conditions through programmed sequences. Seismic analysis of the structural changes indicates vibration patterns consistent with machinery operation rather than random thermal stress. The frequency signatures match mechanical systems cycling through operational sequences, possibly deploying or retracting internal components in response to solar heating. The electromagnetic emissions during perihelion passage showed dramatic increases in both intensity and organization. Instead of the random electromagnetic noise you'd expect from a comet under extreme thermal stress, 3I Atlas began transmitting highly organized signal patterns with increasing complexity as it approached maximum solar heating. These transmissions were detected by multiple radio telescope arrays and showed clear evidence of error correction protocols, data packet structures, and redundant transmission schemes that are hallmarks of engineered communication systems. Natural electromagnetic emissions from heated plasma don't organize themselves into information transmission protocols. The signal analysis reveals modulation techniques that match artificial intelligence communication patterns rather than random cosmic radio sources. The data structures suggest real-time environmental monitoring, status reporting, and possibly coordination with external systems or entities beyond our detection capabilities. Most chilling of all, the transmission patterns included repeated sequences that correspond to mathematical constants prime number series, and geometric relationships that could serve as universal communication protocols. These aren't random number patterns that human pattern recognition is imposing on cosmic noise. These are deliberate mathematical communications designed to be recognized by technological civilizations. The fact that 3I Atlas began these transmissions precisely when it was hidden from Earth-based observation behind our sun suggests deliberate timing to avoid detection by our monitoring systems. Only space-based observatories positioned outside the solar glare zone were able to intercept these communications, and that data is being held under the highest levels of classification. As we approach the critical observation window, when 3I Atlas emerges from solar occultation, the International Space Surveillance Network has been placed on the highest alert status in history. Every available detection system is being positioned to capture the moment when this object becomes visible again. What we discover in the next few weeks will determine whether humanity continues to believe we're alone in the universe, or whether we're forced to confront the reality that we've been discovered by an intelligence that possesses capabilities we can't match and intentions we can't predict. The evidence is mounting that 3I Atlas represents our first confirmed encounter with extraterrestrial technology. And if that's true, then everything changes. Our understanding of physics, our place in the galactic community, our survival as a species, and our future among the stars all hang in the balance of what happens when this object reveals its true nature. Because if the dark forest hypothesis is correct, and if 3I Atlas really is an alien probe sent to evaluate our civilization, then its emergence from behind our sun might mark the beginning of the most critical period in human history, the period when we discover whether the universe contains friends or predators, and whether our species has what it takes to survive first contact with an intelligence that has been watching us from the shadows. The countdown has begun, and what we're about to witness could rewrite every textbook on planetary science and human survival. Because while the mainstream scientific community continues to debate whether 3I Atlas represents natural or artificial origins, a series of leaked documents and whistleblower testimonies have begun to paint a picture so disturbing that governments around the world are quietly implementing contingency protocols that have never been activated in human history. Let me share with you what's happening behind closed doors that the public isn't being told. Military space command centers across multiple continents have been operating under what's known as Condition Black protocols since early October. These are defensive postures that were originally developed for nuclear warfare scenarios, but they're now being applied to potential extraterrestrial contact situations. According to sources within the Pentagon and European Defense Agency, satellite tracking networks have detected what can only be described as coordinated positioning adjustments among our military spacecraft. These aren't routine orbital maintenance maneuvers. We're talking about strategic repositioning of defense assets to create overlapping coverage zones around Earth's approach corridors. The implications are staggering. If our military leadership genuinely believed 3I Atlas was just an unusual comet, why would they be moving billion-dollar defense satellites into formations designed to detect and potentially intercept incoming threats? These positioning changes began immediately after the object's Mars flyby, suggesting that whatever data was collected during that encounter triggered an immediate escalation in threat assessment. But the military preparations represent just the tip of the iceberg. Intelligence agencies have been conducting what they call threat assessment modeling, using supercomputer simulations that incorporate every known variable about 3I Atlas's capabilities and potential intentions. These classified simulations are running thousands of scenarios, from peaceful scientific exchange to full-scale planetary invasion. The computer models are factoring in the object's mass, velocity, trajectory precision, electromagnetic signatures, and chemical composition to predict possible outcomes for human civilization. The results of these simulations are being shared only with heads of state and senior military commanders. But leaked fragments suggest that the majority of modeled scenarios do not end well for humanity. What makes these simulations particularly terrifying is that they're incorporating the dark forest hypothesis as a primary variable. The military strategists aren't just planning for peaceful contact, they're preparing for the possibility that 3I Atlas represents an advanced scout for a civilization that views our existence as an existential threat to be eliminated. The timeline projections are especially disturbing. If 3I Atlas is indeed an alien probe, the computer models suggest that any hostile action would likely occur within a narrow window after the object emerges from solar occultation. This gives human civilization approximately 4 to 6 weeks to detect, analyze, and respond to whatever 3I Atlas reveals about its true nature and intentions. But here's what should keep you awake at night. Our response capabilities are laughably inadequate compared to the technology that 3I Atlas appears to possess. The fastest missile systems humanity has ever developed would require weeks to reach the object's current position. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas demonstrated the ability to perform precise trajectory adjustments with reaction times measured in hours, not days or weeks. The speed differential alone makes any defensive response virtually impossible. If this object or any technology it deploys decides to approach Earth with hostile intent, our current military capabilities would be like trying to stop a supersonic jet with a slingshot. The technological gap appears to be so vast that resistance might not even be a viable option. Independent researchers analyzing the electromagnetic signatures have made discoveries that haven't been published in any scientific journal. The signal patterns include mathematical sequences that correspond to fundamental physical constants, but with precision levels that exceed our best measurements. This suggests the source of these signals possesses scientific knowledge that surpasses human understanding by potentially centuries or millennia. The frequency analysis reveals something even more unsettling. The signals aren't just random mathematical demonstrations. They appear to be scanning sequences, methodically probing different regions of our solar system's electromagnetic spectrum. It's as if 3I Atlas is conducting a comprehensive survey of our technological capabilities, communication systems, and defensive infrastructure. Radio telescope operators have reported receiving structured signals that seem designed to test our detection and decoding capabilities. These aren't attempts at peaceful communication. They're intelligence-gathering operations, systematically mapping our technological strengths and weaknesses. The timing of these scanning operations corresponds exactly with our major communication satellite positions, military radar installations, and space-based observation platforms. Whatever intelligence is controlling 3I Atlas has been conducting detailed reconnaissance of every aspect of human technological civilization. But the most chilling discovery comes from analysis of the object's internal structure changes during its solar passage. Advanced ground-penetrating radar systems detected mechanical reconfiguration sequences that suggest the deployment of previously hidden systems or technologies. The structural modifications followed patterns consistent with the activation of dormant equipment or the preparation of systems for operational deployment. These internal changes weren't random responses to thermal stress. They were organized, sequential, and purposeful. The radar signatures indicate that 3I Atlas contains modular components that can be reconfigured for different operational modes. We're looking at evidence of adaptive technology that can modify itself based on mission requirements. The thermal imaging data reveals that these internal modifications generated heat signatures consistent with power systems coming online. Whatever equipment was activated during the solar passage required significant energy consumption, suggesting the operation of sophisticated technological systems rather than passive scientific instruments. Most disturbing of all, the electromagnetic emissions during these structural changes included what can only be described as handshake protocols. These are communication sequences that technological devices use to establish connections with other systems. 3I Atlas wasn't just activating internal equipment, it was attempting to establish communications with external systems or entities. The hand included error shake sequences, correction protocols, authentication challenges, and data synchronization patterns that match advanced artificial intelligence communication standards. This suggests that 3i Atlas was trying to connect with other artificial intelligences or technological systems, possibly including networks or entities that we haven't detected. The fact that these communication attempts occurred while the object was hidden behind our sun indicates deliberate operational security. Whatever 3i Atlas was trying to contact, it didn't want human monitoring systems to intercept or analyze those communications. Multiple space agencies have detected what appear to be response signals originating from regions beyond our solar system. These signals showed up on radio telescope arrays just days after 3i Atlas transmitted its handshake protocols. The timing and frequency characteristics suggest coordinated communication between 3i Atlas and unknown technological systems located in interstellar space. The response signals lasted only minutes and used transmission techniques that pushed our detection equipment to its absolute limits. The signals were highly compressed, encrypted, and transmitted with power levels that suggest technological capabilities far beyond anything human civilization possesses. Analysis of these brief transmissions indicates data transfer rates that would require quantum communication technologies or other advanced systems that human science is only beginning to understand theoretically. We're looking at communication capabilities that represent technological advancement potentially thousands of years beyond our current development level. The coordination between 3i Atlas and these external systems suggests that this object isn't to be part of a larger network or operating independently. It appears organization with assets positioned throughout our galactic region. This raises terrifying questions about how long human civilization has been under observation and what other technological systems might be positioned within our solar system or nearby stellar neighborhoods. Intelligence analysts studying these communication patterns have identified what appear to be status reports, mission updates, and coordination protocols. The data structures suggest that 3i Atlas has been providing detailed information about human technological capabilities, planetary defenses, and civilization status to external entities with unknown intentions. The most disturbing aspect of this communication analysis is the apparent urgency in the transmitted data. The signal compression and transmission power levels suggest that 3i Atlas was operating under time constraints, possibly reporting critical information before a deadline or decision point. This raises the terrifying possibility that human civilization is being evaluated according to criteria we don't understand, by entities whose decision-making processes we can't predict, within timeframes that may not allow for diplomatic contact or peaceful resolution of conflicts. As 3i Atlas approaches its emergence from solar occultation, every indication suggests that we're approaching a moment of truth that will determine humanity's future among the stars. The evidence that's been accumulating over the past months points toward our first confirmed encounter with extraterrestrial intelligence, and all signs suggest that this encounter may not unfold according to the peaceful scenarios that science fiction has conditioned us to expect. The next few weeks will reveal whether humanity continues to develop as an isolated planetary civilization, or whether we're forced to confront the reality that we're living in a galactic community where survival depends on capabilities we don't possess and wisdom we haven't yet acquired. Because if 3i Atlas emerges from behind our sun with clear evidence of technological control, deployed systems, or accompanying objects that weren't there before, we'll be facing confirmation that the universe contains intelligences with capabilities that make our most advanced achievements look primitive by comparison. And if the dark forest hypothesis accurately describes the nature of galactic civilization, then that confirmation might mark the beginning of the most dangerous period in human history. The period when we discover whether we have what it takes to survive in a universe where the discovery of intelligence often means the beginning of a competition that only one species can win. The clock is counting down toward a revelation that will change everything we thought we knew about our cosmic neighborhood, our technological capabilities, and our chances for long-term survival as a species. What happens next will determine whether humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning, or whether we're about to face our greatest challenge in the vast darkness between the stars. The emergence window is rapidly approaching, and what we're about to witness could fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of our place in the cosmic hierarchy. Every major observatory on Earth has been quietly repositioned to capture the moment when 3I Atlas becomes visible again. The coordination level between international space agencies suggests they're preparing for discoveries that could shatter every assumption we've made about interstellar visitors and alien intelligence. Ground-based telescopes across 6 continents have been synchronized to begin simultaneous observations the instant 3I Atlas clears the solar glare zone. The Hubble Space Telescope has been reprogrammed with observation sequences that prioritize real-time data transmission over standard scientific protocols. The James Webb Space Telescope has allocated unprecedented observation time for an object that mainstream science continues to classify as a natural comet. But here's what makes this coordination truly extraordinary. The observation protocols being implemented aren't standard astronomical survey procedures. These are threat assessment protocols, originally developed for tracking potentially hazardous asteroids and military reconnaissance satellites. The fact that they're being applied to 3I Atlas suggests that space agencies are preparing for the possibility that this object will display behaviors or characteristics that require immediate analysis and rapid response capabilities. The technical specifications for these observation campaigns reveal just how seriously the scientific establishment is taking this situation. Multiple redundant tracking systems have been established to ensure that no detail of 3I Atlas's emergence goes unrecorded. Backup communication networks have been activated to guarantee that observation data reaches analysis centers even if primary systems experience interference or deliberate disruption. Most tellingly, the observation schedules include contingency protocols for scenarios involving multiple objects, trajectory modifications, and electromagnetic anomalies. Natural comets don't require contingency planning for multiple object scenarios. These protocols only make sense if observers are preparing for the possibility that 3I Atlas might deploy additional objects or demonstrate controlled maneuvering capabilities. The electromagnetic monitoring network has been expanded to include frequency ranges that aren't typically associated with astronomical observations. Military-grade signal intelligence equipment has been integrated with civilian radio telescope arrays to create comprehensive electromagnetic surveillance coverage. This hybrid monitoring system is designed to detect and analyze any artificial signals or communication attempts that might occur during 3I Atlas's re-emergence. Advanced artificial intelligence systems have been programmed with pattern recognition algorithms specifically designed to identify non-natural behaviors or characteristics. These AI monitoring systems can process observational data in real time and flag anomalies that human observers might miss during the critical first hours of renewed visibility. The processing power dedicated to 3I Atlas analysis exceeds what's typically allocated for entire galaxy surveys or deep space exploration missions. Supercomputer facilities across multiple continents have been networked together to create unprecedented computational capability for analyzing whatever data emerges from the observation campaigns. But perhaps most significantly, the observation protocols include provisions for immediate data classification and restricted distribution. Standard astronomical discoveries are shared openly with the global scientific community within hours or days of confirmation. The 3I Atlas protocols allow for indefinite data restriction if observations reveal characteristics that pose potential security implications. This suggests that space agencies and government officials are genuinely prepared for the possibility that 3I Atlas might provide evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, and they're planning to control information distribution if that evidence could trigger public panic or international instability. Independent researchers monitoring government communication networks have detected increased message traffic between space agencies and national security organizations. The communication patterns suggest that classified briefings are being prepared for political leadership across multiple nations. These briefings are scheduled to occur immediately after initial re-emergence observations are completed and analyzed. The fact that political leaders are being prepared for potential briefings about an astronomical object indicates that officials expect discoveries that could have immediate policy implications. Natural comets don't require emergency political briefings or national security consultations. The preparation of these briefing protocols suggests that decision-makers are anticipating revelations that could fundamentally alter international relations and global security considerations. Military communication networks have been monitoring for any changes in the electromagnetic signature patterns that 3I Atlas displayed during its hidden passage behind our Sun. If the object emerges with different signal characteristics, modified transmission patterns, or evidence of technological activation, military analysts will need to assess potential threat levels and response options within hours rather than days or weeks. The speed of required decision-making has forced military planners to develop automated response protocols that can be implemented without waiting for extended analysis or political authorization. These rapid response capabilities have never been activated for astronomical phenomena, but they're being prepared for 3I Atlas because the object's demonstrated capabilities suggest that delayed responses might be ineffective or impossible. Commercial satellite operators have been quietly instructed to prepare for possible electromagnetic interference or signal disruption during the emergence window. These preparations include backup communication protocols and alternative routing systems that could maintain critical services if 3I Atlas generates electromagnetic effects that interfere with normal satellite operations. The scope of these commercial preparations suggests that government agencies have shared threat assessment information with private sector partners, indicating that officials consider electromagnetic disruption to be a realistic possibility rather than a remote theoretical concern. Financial markets have begun showing subtle indicators that institutional investors are positioning for potential disruption scenarios. While public discourse continues to treat 3I Atlas as a scientific curiosity, major investment firms appear to be hedging against possibilities that could fundamentally alter technological sectors, defense spending, and international trade relationships. The investment patterns suggest that classified briefings have provided selected financial institutions with risk assessment information that isn't available to public investors. This selective information sharing indicates that government agencies are balancing public calm with private sector preparation for scenarios involving confirmed extraterrestrial technology. Insurance companies specializing in space-based assets and satellite systems have quietly increased coverage costs and modified policy terms for the emergence window period. These changes suggest that actuarial analysis indicates elevated risk levels for space-based infrastructure during 3I Atlas's reappearance. The insurance industry modifications are particularly significant because insurance calculations are based on statistical risk analysis rather than speculation or fear. The fact that professional risk assessment organizations are treating 3I Atlas as a genuine threat to technological infrastructure provides independent confirmation that this object poses dangers that extend beyond academic scientific interest. Educational institutions with advanced physics and engineering programs have been discreetly contacted about potential rapid curriculum modifications that might be needed if 3I Atlas provides evidence of technological principles that exceed current human understanding. These preparatory contacts suggest that educational authorities are anticipating discoveries that could require immediate integration into scientific training programs. The educational preparation protocols indicate that officials expect potential technological revelations that could advance human scientific knowledge by decades or centuries within a matter of weeks. Such rapid advancement would require immediate modification of educational priorities to ensure that human civilization could adapt to new technological realities as quickly as possible. Research institutions specializing in artificial intelligence and advanced computing have reported increased funding availability for projects related to extraterrestrial communication and non-human intelligence analysis. The funding increases began shortly after 3 iAtlas's Mars flyby and have continued to expand as the emergence window approaches. The research funding patterns suggest that government agencies are preparing for scenarios involving contact with artificial intelligence systems that operate according to principles that current human AI research hasn't yet developed. This preparation indicates that officials consider communication with non-human intelligence to be a realistic possibility rather than science fiction speculation. Medical facilities with expertise in psychological trauma and mass casualty events have been placed on elevated readiness status during the emergence window. While no public announcements have been made, healthcare systems appear to be preparing for potential psychological impacts that could result from confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. The medical preparation suggests that officials anticipate public reactions that could include widespread anxiety, panic responses, or psychological breakdown among populations that are unprepared for confirmation that humanity is not alone in the universe. The scale of medical preparation indicates that officials, rather than merely consider severe public psychological reactions to be likely possible. Religious organizations across multiple denominations have been quietly briefed about potential theological implications of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence. These briefings have focused on maintaining social stability and providing spiritual guidance for populations struggling to integrate new cosmic realities with existing belief systems. The religious briefing programs suggest that officials recognize that confirmed alien contact could trigger fundamental challenges to human religious and philosophical frameworks. The preparation of religious leaders indicates that government agencies consider spiritual and psychological support systems to be critical components of public response planning. As we approach the moment when 3I Atlas emerges from its solar hiding place, every indication suggests that human civilization is balanced on the edge of the most significant revelation in our species' history. The massive scale of preparation, the unprecedented international coordination, and the involvement of military, financial, educational, medical, and religious institutions all point toward discoveries that could fundamentally alter human society within a matter of weeks. The evidence that's been accumulating for months indicates that 3I Atlas represents something far more significant than an unusual comet from interstellar space. Whether it proves to be advanced alien technology, a probe from an extraterrestrial civilization, or evidence of intelligence that operates according to principles we don't understand, the emergence of this object from solar occultation will mark a turning point that separates human history into before and after periods. What happens in the next few weeks will determine whether humanity continues to develop as an isolated planetary species, or whether we're forced to adapt to existence in a galactic community where survival depends on capabilities. We're only beginning to comprehend, and countdown to revelation has begun. And what we discovered wisdom we haven't yet acquired. The when 3I Atlas reveals its true nature could either represent humanity's greatest opportunity for advancement among the stars, or our first warning that we're living in a universe where the rules of survival are far more dangerous than we ever imagined possible. The psychological warfare aspect of 3I Atlas's emergence timeline represents perhaps the most sophisticated element of this entire encounter. Consider the precision with which events have been orchestrated. An interstellar object arrives during our solar maximum when electromagnetic interference naturally peaks. It disappears behind our sun at exactly the moment when detailed observation becomes impossible. It's scheduled to re-emerge during a period when human decision-makers are forced to confront evidence without adequate time for extended analysis or public preparation. If this represents natural coincidence, it's the most extraordinary series of fortunate timing in astronomical history. If it represents deliberate planning, we're dealing with an intelligence that understands human psychology and technological limitations better than we understand them ourselves. The timing suggests strategic thinking that operates on scales of planning and execution that human civilization has never encountered. The emergence window itself has been calculated with precision that exceeds our best orbital mechanics software. 3I Atlas will become visible again at exactly the moment when Earth's position relative to the Sun provides optimal observation geometry, while simultaneously creating maximum psychological pressure on human observers. We'll have perfect viewing conditions for discovering truths we may not be prepared to accept. Underground facilities across multiple continents have been activated during the past month, with personnel movements that suggest preparation for extended isolation scenarios. These deep bunker complexes were originally constructed for nuclear warfare contingencies, but they're now being prepared for scenarios involving potential extraterrestrial contact or conflict. The activation of these facilities indicates that government leadership continuity under agencies are preparing for outcomes that could require conditions of surface disruption. The bunker preparations include communication systems that can operate independently of surface infrastructure, suggesting that officials anticipate possible electromagnetic interference or technological disruption that could compromise normal government communications. These backup systems have never been activated for astronomical events, but they're being brought online for 3I Atlas because the object's demonstrated capabilities suggest it could interfere with or disable human communication networks. Food production and distribution systems have been quietly modified to ensure supply chain stability during potential periods of social disruption. Agricultural distribution centers have increased inventory levels and implemented backup transportation protocols that could maintain food distribution even if normal logistics networks experience interruption. These preparations suggest that officials anticipate possible panic buying, transportation disruption, or social instability that could affect basic resource distribution. The agricultural preparations are particularly significant because they indicate planning for extended disruption periods rather than brief emergency responses. The inventory increases and backup protocols suggest that officials are preparing for scenarios that could affect normal social functioning for weeks or months rather than days. Water treatment and power generation facilities have implemented enhanced security protocols and backup operational procedures that could maintain critical infrastructure during periods of social uncertainty or technological interference. These preparations include redundant control systems and manual operation capabilities that could function even if primary computer networks experience disruption. The infrastructure preparations suggest that officials are anticipating scenarios where 3I Atlas or associated phenomena could interfere with computer-controlled systems that manage critical civilian services. The implementation of manual backup procedures indicates that electromagnetic interference or cyber warfare capabilities are considered realistic threats rather than theoretical possibilities. Communication companies have been instructed to prepare emergency broadcast protocols that could disseminate critical information to civilian populations, even if normal communication networks experience disruption or overload. These protocols include backup transmission systems and alternative distribution methods that could reach populations regardless of internet or cellular network status. The emergency communication preparations suggest that officials expect information dissemination requirements that exceed normal broadcast capabilities. The backup systems are designed for scenarios involving simultaneous information distribution to entire populations under conditions where normal communication infrastructure might be compromised or overwhelmed. Transportation systems including airports, seaports, and rail networks have implemented enhanced monitoring and security procedures that could detect and respond to unusual electromagnetic phenomena or technological interference. These monitoring systems are designed to maintain transportation safety, even if 3I Atlas generates effects that interfere with navigation or communication equipment. The transportation preparations indicate that officials consider electromagnetic interference with civilian infrastructure to be a genuine possibility rather than a remote concern. The enhanced monitoring systems suggest that 3I Atlas's demonstrated electromagnetic capabilities could pose realistic threats to systems that depend on precise electronic navigation and communication. Financial institutions have activated backup trading systems and alternative transaction processing networks that could maintain economic stability during periods of market disruption or technological interference. These backup systems include manual processing capabilities and alternative communication methods that could preserve critical financial services even if primary computer networks experience problems. The financial preparations suggest that officials anticipate possible market disruption scenarios that could result from confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence or technology. The backup systems indicate that economic stability is considered vulnerable to the psychological and technological impacts that 3I Atlas's emergence might generate. Social media monitoring systems have been expanded to track and analyze public reaction patterns during the emergence window. Advanced artificial intelligence algorithms are being used to identify and predict social media trends that could indicate developing panic responses or coordinated misinformation campaigns. These monitoring systems can detect and respond to viral misinformation within minutes rather than hours or days. The social media surveillance expansion indicates that officials expect significant public psychological reactions that could be amplified through social media platforms. The real-time monitoring capabilities suggest that information control and public psychological management are considered critical components of the response planning. Law enforcement agencies have been briefed on crowd control and civil disorder protocols that could be implemented if public reactions to 3I Atlas discoveries exceed normal social management capabilities. These protocols include coordination between local, national, and international law enforcement organizations to ensure rapid response to civil unrest scenarios. The law enforcement preparations suggest that officials anticipate possible public reactions that could threaten social stability and require coordinated security responses. The international coordination aspects indicate that civil disorder is considered a realistic possibility across multiple nations simultaneously. International diplomatic protocols have been established for coordinating responses to potential extraterrestrial contact scenarios. These protocols include communication procedures, decision-making hierarchies, and resource-sharing agreements that could be implemented immediately if 3I Atlas provides evidence of alien intelligence or technology. The diplomatic preparations indicate that confirmed extraterrestrial contact is considered a realistic possibility that could require immediate international coordination and resource allocation. The established protocols suggest that officials recognize that alien contact scenarios would transcend national boundaries and require unprecedented levels of international cooperation. Scientific institutions worldwide have prepared rapid analysis protocols that could process and interpret evidence of extraterrestrial technology within hours, rather than the months or years that normal peer review processes require. These accelerated procedures include emergency publication methods and direct communication channels between research institutions and government agencies. The scientific preparation protocols indicate that officials expect discoveries that could require immediate analysis and interpretation without time for standard academic procedures. The emergency publication methods suggest that evidence of alien technology could require rapid scientific consensus and public information distribution. Religious and philosophical organizations have developed guidance frameworks for helping populations integrate evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence with existing belief systems and worldviews. These frameworks include counseling protocols, theological interpretations, and spiritual support systems that could help individuals and communities process cosmic revelations that challenge fundamental assumptions about humanity's place in the universe. The religious preparations indicate that officials recognize that confirmed alien contact could trigger existential crisis responses among populations whose worldviews don't accommodate non-human intelligence. The counseling protocols suggest that psychological and spiritual support systems are considered essential for maintaining social stability during cosmic revelation scenarios. Educational systems have prepared curriculum modifications that could rapidly integrate evidence of extraterrestrial technology or intelligence into scientific and social studies programs. These modifications include lesson plans, teaching materials, and instructor training protocols that could be implemented within weeks rather than years. The educational preparations suggest that officials anticipate discoveries that could require immediate integration into human knowledge systems and cultural understanding. The rapid implementation capabilities indicate that educational adaptation is considered critical for helping human civilization adjust to new cosmic realities. Medical systems have prepared psychological support protocols for treating individuals and populations experiencing trauma or anxiety related to evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. These protocols include specialized treatment procedures, medication health resource allocation, that distribution systems, and mental could handle large-scale psychological impacts. The medical preparations indicate that officials expect significant psychological impacts among civilian populations exposed to evidence of alien intelligence or technology. The specialized treatment procedures suggest that cosmic revelation trauma is considered a distinct medical condition requiring specific therapeutic approaches. As 3i Atlas approaches its moment of revelation, every aspect of human civilization has been quietly prepared for discoveries that could fundamentally alter our understanding of reality itself. The scope and scale of these preparations indicate that officials across multiple nations and institutions consider confirmed extraterrestrial contact to be not just possible, but likely. The evidence that's been accumulating for months suggests that 3i Atlas represents humanity's first confirmed encounter with intelligence that operates according to principles we don't understand, possesses capabilities that exceed our technological development by potentially thousands of years, and follows agendas that we can't predict or influence. Whether 3i Atlas emerges as an alien probe, an artificial intelligence from another star system, or evidence of cosmic intelligence that transcends our current understanding of life and technology, its reappearance will mark the end of humanity's isolation in the universe and the beginning of our existence as participants in a galactic community whose rules we're only beginning to comprehend. The countdown to cosmic revelation continues, and what we discover when 3i Atlas reveals its true nature will determine whether humanity's greatest adventure among the stars is just beginning, or whether we're about to face our greatest test in the vast darkness between worlds, where survival depends on wisdom we haven't yet acquired and capabilities we're only beginning to develop. The moment of truth has arrived, and everything we've explored in this investigation points to a single, terrifying conclusion. 3. Atlas isn't just another cosmic visitor passing through our neighborhood. The evidence we've examined, from its impossible chemistry and precision trajectory to the unprecedented global preparations happening behind closed doors, suggests we're witnessing the most significant event in human history. Think about what we've uncovered together. An object traveling at 130,000 miles per hour with internal heating systems, controlled rotational stability, and electromagnetic signatures that match artificial intelligence communication protocols. Military satellites repositioning into defensive formations. Underground bunkers activating across multiple continents. Financial markets hedging against civilizational disruption. Medical systems preparing for mass psychological trauma. This isn't how governments respond to unusual comets. This is how they prepare for first contact with an intelligence that possesses capabilities we can't match and intentions we can't predict. Whether 3i Atlas emerges from solar occultation as a natural interstellar wanderer or reveals itself as humanity's first confirmed encounter with alien technology, one thing is absolutely certain. We're living through a moment that will divide human history into before and after. And based on everything we've discovered, that division point is just weeks away. The universe has remained silent for so long that we convinced ourselves we were alone. But if the dark forest hypothesis is correct, that silence wasn't evidence of emptiness, it was evidence of predators hunting in the cosmic darkness, waiting for civilizations like ours to reveal themselves. The countdown to revelation continues, and what happens next will determine whether humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning, or whether we're about to discover that some cosmic visitors aren't here to welcome us to the galactic community. They're here to ensure we never get the chance to join it. Stay vigilant, keep watching the skies, and remember that sometimes the most dangerous truths are the ones hiding in plain sight, traveling at 130,000 miles per hour toward a destiny that could change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe.